Hello, everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen very quickly. Oops, sorry about that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our presentation of the secondary data analysis using the SMARVUS study. This was a analysis done by myself, Kaylynn, through Avila University under the direction of Professor Waggy for our PY 627 Research Methods and Development class. I analyzed the correlations between analytic thinking and intolerance of uncertainty. Through this data set, we are going to look at the SMARVUS study in general, which is a very interesting set of data and its significance in psychological research. We're going to look at the importance of analytical thinking and the relevance in intolerance of uncertainty, and go over the key findings of the relationship between analytic thinking and intolerance of uncertainty. And we're going to go ahead and wrap everything up by discussing the applications and prospects for future research. So just to go over some key points, the overall SMARVUS study was conducted by researchers Jenny Terry and Murcio Guerrero, along with many, many others. This study was done in order to really focus on mathematics and statistics anxieties. They also measured different things along with analytic thinking and intolerance to uncertainty, which is what I am going to be researching and presenting in this study. The analytic thinking was measured in the SMARVUS data set with a revised version of the cognitive reflection test, which was originally created. I'm drawing a blank because I don't remember when, but it was revised by Chevelle in 2013, just to be more comprehensive. It was comprised of 3-word problems, which were to be given a correct answer or not. The questions were very straightforward questions. Sorry. A more mathematical test that there was an answer to versus not an so there was a correct or incorrect answer, and then at the end of it the participants were asked whether or not they thought that, or they were honest in their answers. The intolerance of uncertainty scale was measured using 2 subscales, the perspective and inhibitory anxiety, and these were reported using a characteristic, a 1 to 5 scale, saying whether or not they agreed with the statements. So to understand analytical thinking, I looked into different research papers that had been done and found one that looked into the ways that the mental processing affects different mental accounting practices. So this study by Hussein explains that analytic thinking restricts expenditures to similar categories, while holistic thinkers are generally more flexible. The findings correlate implications for marketing strategies. which is a little bit irrelevant to this, but I thought that this explained that the analytical thinking plays a process in relation to a different variable, which in this case is analytical thinking. To grasp the implications of cognitive reflection tests with analytical thinking, we explore the idea that it is a cognitive state itself and thereby stasic. So it in itself does not change. Intolerance of uncertainty is studying the concept. We explore the relationship between intolerance of uncertainty to different variables that have found a variety of different results. These varying results have prompted the current study to determine the relationship that intolerance to uncertainty has to analytical thinking. Research in a study conducted by Dix and Caritha examined the relationship between prosociality, intolerance of uncertainty, and religiosity while focusing on gender differences. The focus of the study found links between prosociality and religiosity, but no significant connection between intolerance of uncertainty and other variables. Women were found to be more pro-social and scored higher on certain dimensions of religiosity. There was another study that was also done that found that parental support was connected to higher intolerance of uncertainty in younger adults. So they found that age was a significant predictor of different levels of intolerance of uncertainty. So researchers in this study by Andrea and Georgita found that the parental support is a impactful predictor of intolerance of uncertainty. This is an interesting aspect of research to consider when exploring our own variables, which is analytical thinking. This study is trying to determine whether there was a negative correlation between intolerance of uncertainty and analytical thinking. I hypothesized that there would be a negative correlation between intolerance of uncertainty and analytical thinking. I used a correlation matrix and a multiple linear regression to determine if that relationship did in fact exist. I used the SMARVUS dataset codebook to transcribe variables and compute them using the Jamovi window. For the design of the study, I used the multiple linear regression to determine if that negative relationship existed between analytical thinking and intolerance of uncertainty. The two levels of the independent variable, which is intolerance of uncertainty, were prospective and inhibitory, which I did not look into in this study, although I think that it might be interesting to see if there is any discrepancy between the two levels of intolerance of uncertainty. The secondary analysis was a correlation matrix, which was meant to further ascertain the relationship between the variables. The materials you can see here, the dataset codebook is available, and you can see that some of the questions were from the different scales for intolerance of uncertainty. The key findings of this, the procedure, were probably the most interesting. I analyzed the data descriptive separately, and found that the two subsects, while I ran them separately, I didn't analyze them between variables separately. So you can see that their standard deviations are similar, whereas the numbers on the cognitive reflection test were just completely off the charts. I had trouble kind of figuring out. I had to go back and look at what all of that even meant, and to sort of figure out what was going on here. So the correlation matrix was ran, and you can see here that the p-value is not significant. I ran the linear regression, and it explained a very negative the percentage of the variance of analytical thinking, using that CRT in relation to the intolerance of uncertainty. The the results of this analysis fail to reject the null hypothesis. The correlation between the CRT and the IUS indicates a weak but slightly positive correlation that is not statistically significant. It was, I was a little bit surprised to find that that the data set was not at all telling me what I had thought that it was going to be originally with my hypothesis. There is not a reportable significant negative correlation between the variables, and they do not have a significant, the intolerance of uncertainty, both subscales do not have a significant effect on the cognitive reflection test of analytical thinking. So thank you very much for listening to my analysis, and here are my references, and appreciate your time.